Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do the Peacock Butterfly, and so the one landing on this flower here with the red DMC stranded cotton, and I'm using 2 strands with the crewel needle. And to start with, we're going to do a laid stitch on the wings here. Now I've drawn this butterfly and you can see that these lines are fairly thick here, and that works well because I'm going to come up on the inside of the line. So I'm starting with this wing here and taking my thread all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to come up just next to it on this side, not on the other side, so it's not a satin stitch, it's a laid stitch, and go to the inside of my blue line. Now I'm going to the inside because we're going to do a chain stitch all the way around the edge, which is going to cover the blue line. So backwards and forwards. This is a very straightforward stitch. Sometimes you do a satin stitch by mistake. Don't worry if you do the odd one or two, don't bother to take it out, but if you do more, I would take it out because it does look thicker. So you shouldn't have any thread going across the shape at the back. They should just look like little stitches at the back. Now you'll have noticed that I started in the middle of the shape, and that's so that you get your lines as parallel as possible in both directions. Now I'm going to travel to where I started and complete the shape. So we're going to cover all the wings like this before we do the outline. And with this stitch, if you find that you've got any gaps afterwards, you just put another stitch in. So it's quite forgiving in that sense. Just going to put another little one there just for the shape really. Okay, and I'm just going to put a stitch there because I can see a little gap. Okay, now it doesn't matter whether you start at the top of or the bottom, but just carry on and do the other 2 wings. We're now going to outline the wings in a chain stitch using the FS01, the variegated red and green silk. And we're going to do the wings in this order. So this one first, then this one, and then this one, because this one is at the back and that one is at the front. So start here, and we're going to outline this one running all the way round, but stop here. And then the middle one is going to be to there, and the front one all the way around. So come up again with your crewel needle and then go down into the same hole, and then you form a loop and bring your needle up through it. So you're now aiming for the middle of that line that makes your chain. So take your needle down into the loop, into the chain that you've just made, and then make a stitch up again through the loop to make another chain. So your needle goes down into the chain and up through the loop. Down into the chain and up through the loop. Now I've got it so that my chain is towards me, so I need to turn my work round now. So I'm going to complete to here, and then we'll do this one. So I've gone all the way down to here, and my needle has gone down into the fabric to finish the last stitch, and then I've come up quite close to, and we're going to just outline this middle one now. So these chain stitches should cover the gap in between your two wings. So don't pull them too tight. So down into the chain and up through the loop. The loop is pointing towards you, so the needle is coming towards you as you go through. Now this second wing, I want to be fairly pointed. Let's just do another little one, not quite at the top. So I'm going to anchor it there at the top and then turn it round and start again. So I've come up just next to, because I want that to be a bit more pointed than the other one. And then I'm going to go down all the way to here, and not between the wings. So the last one, if you start down here and then go all the way around, so I will return when that's done. We're going to do just a little bit more chain stitch underneath in the grey. So not quite at the end of this line here, so leave that for a minute and just do 3 or 4 chain stitches. For the body, maybe that's enough. So go down into the fabric and then come up quite close to, and we're going to do a French knot for the head. So if you remember, wrap around your needle. We're going to do 4 wraps, and then the needle goes down into the fabric next to where you came up. Form the knot on your needle, keep the thread tight in your other hand and pull through. And now we want to just complete that with a couple of straight stitches. So come up at the base of the knot, like that, and then run your thread across the back and do another stitch, taking that little chain at the start for the tail, like that. And now we want to put some markings on the wings, so we're going to do some large French knots again, one on each wing, so about 2/3 of the way up. Wrap around 4 times and go down, and try and go across, so if you come up here, go down here rather than going down on the same line, so that it sort of anchors the thread there. Run your thread across the back and come up on the next one and around 4 times and then down. Like that. And the next one, if you're left-handed, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, so you're just holding the needle with your left hand and keeping the thread taut with your right, and go down. And there's your knots, and now we're going to do a little stitch around those knots just to finish it off. Now we're going to try and put a little lazy daisy stitch around these knots, and so come up at the top of one of them. A lazy daisy is just one chain, go down into the same hole just like you did for your chain stitch, and come up at the bottom of that knot, and try not to pull too quickly. You want the stitch to go round your knot like that, and then take a stitch down. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit further away from the knot. In fact, I think that looks quite nice. So up, you could do these stitches first and put your knots in the middle, but I think this gives you a better idea of what size to do them. And the final one, you're going to run your thread across the back, by the way, not jump. There we go. Try and get that one poking through. And now we're going to finish this off with a little flower here. And we're going to do some colonial knots in the centre, first of all. We're going to do a cluster of colonial knots in the corner on the butterfly hexagon, but I'm just going to show you on the practice hoop because they're just too tiny to see on the hexagon. I've done a little cluster here so that you can see what they look like. They're very similar to French knots, but they have a sort of little line inside and they're just a little bit different, and it's another stitch to include. So they're done in a sort of figure of 8 shape, and if you come up and then lay your thread so that it's like a horizontal U shape or a backward C, if you like, and then you're going to put your needle through the top and then take the thread and it goes over and under the needle, so that you can, I don't know if you can see that, you'd be making a figure of 8, and then tighten the knot on the needle and take the thread down into the fabric, and you're going into the hole next to where you came up. So again, it's like this sort of U shape, and then up through the top, over the needle and under, pull it tight and go into the hole next to where you came up. So faster, like that. And you're going to be doing a cluster, so you'll come up quite close and pack as many as you can in. I'll try and show left-handers. So if you're left-handed, you'll do your little shape on the other side, go up through, take it over the needle like that and down. If you're left-handed, you'll make your little shape like that and then come up under and then take your thread over and under like that. So you can see the sort of figure of 8 and then go down into the fabric. So again, your little semicircle up through the top, around like that and down. And now I want you to work a little cluster like that just in the corner, and I'll return and show you the petals. I've done a split back stitch outline on 3 petals, and I've drawn them slightly bigger than my original blue line. So I did these outer ones first and then put the one in the middle in last. So that's sort of behind. Now I found the yellow bits of the thread, and I'm just going to do a satin stitch. So over and over. So come up where your Colonial Knots finish and take your thread to the outside of the line. So always start in the middle of the petal and take it to one side and then to the other. I'll just put another one in there, I think. And then you can finish and do the others. You may have to change your thread if you haven't got enough yellow. Don't worry if there's bits of orange in, I just thought the contrast would look nice. Now we need to think about what insect to do next. I did draw the other butterfly, but I think we're going to, we'll leave the butterfly for a little bit and do one of the bees. Let's do one of the bees. I'm going to complete that in some yellow bits.